There was a quote that stuck with me that you tweeted last year, or maybe you just taught it to me, I can't remember. Advice I got early in my career: don't over-engage in any controversy unless you are willing to stake your entire reputation on it. Rather, keep focused on discovering new things and creating, or else you become known for the controversy and nothing else. There is no going back.
Right. Yeah, this isn't about avoiding being canceled because I think some people might translate it to mean that, which is why I say it's not about that. It's about, we're given this enormous privilege to communicate our thoughts very fast now through social media. And whether or not you have a big following, small following, or no following, it is still a privilege. And it's something that I've learned to really think through and guard and protect as an asset, right, that we have. And I've thought about this from the beginning of posting on things online, and set up certain rules for myself. For instance, I try to ensure that 90% of my posts are really for the pure benefit of the audience and not for my own entertainment. Occasionally I'll see something and I'll have one of these I'll see something, animal post or something like, oh, that's so cool. Or the other day I saw something on an X account about, bumblebees that sleep inside of flowers. And it was really cool about how they look at polarized light and stuff. But I just was really tickled by this fact. And I thought other people might be as well, but it was more for my own entertainment, frankly. But 90% of what I put out there, I'm really trying to think, will people benefit from this? Will they learn from it? Not are they going to be interested in it, but are they going to learn from it? Will it get them thinking or doing something beneficial to their mental health or physical health? Lord knows I've been attacked for, saying, hey, this is an interesting study about deliberate cold exposure. And then people were like, oh, it's underpowered and, it's a marginal effect. And, and I love this. Because I come from the field of science, it's sort of funny to turn people loose on a paper because you're going to get a range of opinions because no two people read the same paper the same way. And everyone would like to say that they are the arbiter of truth and how to read papers, which just makes me chuckle. Normally, those people have not published very many papers themselves. It's sort of this inverse relationship. But nonetheless, I like to put things out there that stimulate thinking. Positive thinking. I don't like controversy for sake of controversy, but you and I have colleagues in the podcast space, and there are many people who are public facing, who see a current event and they just say what they think. And you know what? More power to them. But it is, and I will say it is a distractor from a larger message that they likely have, if they have one at all. But, and you see this, and it's not that they go down. What happens is they take their audience that has been built around a certain set of topics, and suddenly they're talking about current events. I guess what I'm basically saying is I don't talk about current events.
Yeah, you've never, as far as I'm aware, you've never commented on politics. You've never made any.
No, politics came around to me in an interesting way. I'll just share this because it's exactly how it happened. Rogan had Robert Kennedy Jr. on his podcast.
Okay.
And I liked the post and I commented, and the comment was the following. I said, I hope all presidential candidates go on long form podcasts, because I happen to believe that it's a great way to get to know candidates. Plural.
Oh, fuck. No. So didn't someone edit your Wikipedia page?
Okay. So this is interesting. So I got calls from colleagues of mine at Stanford. I got literally calls and texts. I got calls from major media outlets asking whether or not I'm a RFK supporter / anti-vaxxer, to which I said, I don't know how you concluded that. Okay. That's certainly not my stance, right? My politics are my politics, but there was a huge leap from, and I said, in my comment, I said, I look forward to listening and I hope all the candidates go on long form podcasts. I also see Robert in the gym and it always looks like he's training hard. He trains hard.
He's in good condition.
Yeah. He wears jeans, which I don't understand when he trains, but anyway, he trains hard.
Odd choice.
Odd choice, but free country.
So be it.
So be it. So was I commenting on the content of his podcast? No. Was I commenting on?
You probably hadn't even listened to it yet.
I hadn't listened to it yet. So, but what's interesting was in the subsequent days, I got an onslaught of kind of assumptions or presumptions, really what they were. And then, yes, this isn't about, maybe this is the time. I've published over 70 peer-reviewed articles that are indexed on PubMed, many of which had secondary sources in Time and other major outlets that covered the findings for their relevance to the general public at the time. This is around 2016 mostly, but in the subsequent years as well. That was scraped from my Wikipedia,
You mean like scrubbed,
removed,
like removed from
removed.
Wikipedia? Yeah.
Well, my research contributions are not there on Wikipedia
Still.
And then there were assertions that I was an anti-vaxxer. There were assertions that I was supporting certain political agendas and so on. And then the page was locked by the editorial staff. I've had communications with the founders of Wikipedia, who the page has been adjusted somewhat, but none of my research has been put back. I actually am at this point. I think it's sort of interesting because it's more actually. It's kind of fortunate that it happened in the sense that it's more telling about how the kind of editorializing around Wikipedia exists than this is really not about me. I'm telling this anecdote as a way to sort of reveal what was my experience. Makes very clear that now it includes some positives, some negatives about the podcast. That's fine. We cover supplements. Some people are and promote supplements in certain contexts, mostly behavioral tools, but supplements too. And so I'm perfectly fine with that being included because that's true. But it was very interesting to see how when the way that sort of people will pick up the ball and run with things.
Yeah.
And it's been super useful for me to understand this because what it's allowed me to do, at first it was like, hey, like what's this about? Then I tried to figure it out. Then I went, straight to the top in terms of trying to understand. And I realized it's like, okay, what do I really love doing? I love foraging for information that can benefit people's mental health and physical health. I love organizing that information. I love dispersing that information to the best of my abilities. And those are the things that make me happy. And those are the things that seem to resonate with a certain number of people. Those are also some of the same things that seem to irritate a certain number of people. And I love doing it. And so what I'm going to do is just return to doing that. Yep. And I learned a lot about the landscape of online information in the process.
Very formative experience, it seems.
Very formative. And as an academic, all my papers are on PubMed. Unless a paper is retracted or corrected, there's no removing things from the Library of Congress.
So your Google Scholar will just be kind of like no one's going in there.
My H-index is fixed. And it's not, to be very clear, I want to be very clear because I don't want to contradict the very thing that I opened up the question, which is this is not something I want to like die on the sword of right? Course. But it really alerted me to the fact that so much of the information that's on the internet has been massaged in a particular direction based on presumptions. So one of the reasons I'm taking this opportunity to talk about this is not to counter major media news outlets. They're just trying to make a living. It's kind of interesting. They have a lot of the same advertisers that my podcast does. I don't advertise Fendi bags, but they use advertisers. We use them. It makes it free to everybody as a consequence. But I think that it's really important for people to realize that this question of like, who can we trust? What can we trust? We all have to learn to be good scientists and foragers of information. And the macro for me is that hopefully people are learning to forage for information better as a consequence of understanding that no one person holds the truth. This is not Mount Olympus, right?
So I think the interesting thing, one of the reasons why you might have seen an outsized response to this is people aren't used to you being in anything, right? Like the biggest conspiracy that Andrew Huberman is going to be a part of is like some new study on sunlight in the eyes or something. It's like, where's the p-value and stuff? It's not accessible to the normal person.
Cold plunge mafia.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
There is, by the way, a cold plunge mafia.
Who are they?
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about it.
It's like what's it called? No. The Sicaros. You've got the Brotherhood. You've made a blood swap.
I probably shouldn't have said that. You can keep it in, but it's a strong group, intense. Let's just say. Politically, socially, financially.
Very powerful, very cold.
I understand why people are nervous about the cold plunge.
It's me too. Yeah. So, lots and lots of people online get known for their expertise within one area and then start to think to themselves, well, why shouldn't the world know about my opinion on the Ukraine conflict? Like, I've got lots of things to say and everybody thinks that it's very, very valuable. So maybe I should contribute to what we should do about climate change or what we think should happen in the next election. And I think that, to your credit, you've done a really good job because you will have opinions. You've just chosen not to share them, presumably, right?
And I vote.
Yeah. So, but you've chosen not to do that. And I think that it's almost like the sensitivity dial was turned up so much. It's like, where's the first ever society? We knew that it was the tattoos and the beard. We always knew that guy was like an RFK, or do you know what I mean? And any opportunity for somebody to jump on this, right? In other news, this episode is brought to you by Marek Health. I wanted to get my blood work done here in America. I'd been told by people like Dr. Huberman that it's important for me to work out what's going on inside of my body, but I didn't know where to go. After a ton of research, I found out that Marek Health is the best and most comprehensive. When I started working with them, my testosterone was 495, which is low normal, not where I wanted it to be. Now, 6 months later, it is 1006, and I'm not on TRT. That is what happens when you work with a proper, comprehensive blood panel company who genuinely knows what they're doing. With Marek Health, it's like having someone in your corner that is a properly trained clinician who knows exactly what's happening inside of your body and can give you personalized diet, supplementation, training, and pharmaceutical recommendations, plus organize it all. It is a one-stop shop for your health. You can get the exact same medical panel and oversight that I got by going to the link in the description below or heading to marekhealth.com/modernwisdom and using the code modernwisdom at checkout for 10% off. That's MAREK health.com/modernwisdom and modernwisdom at checkout. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip with Dr. Huberman, you will love the 3-hour episode that you can watch right here. Go on. Press it.